Good morning everyone. Today our group will present about nuclear reaction in star. As we know, nuclear reaction in star refer to the process by which atomic nuclei combine or transform to release enormous amount of energy. The most common reaction in star like the sun in nuclear fusion, where hydrogen nuclei combine to form helium. This reaction occur under extremely high temperature and pressure in stellar core are responsible for producing the light and heat emitted by stars as well as creating heavier elements in the universe. The reason why we choose this topic and its relevance because this topic it helps us to understand how stars, including the sun, produce energy. It is important in modern physics because it explains how the sun gives us light and heat. It shows how elements in the universe are formed, and it helps scientists develop clean energy on Earth. For this topic, we find information from textbook and class notes, online resources, scientific articles and journals, multimedia learning, and note-taking and summarizing. Challenge, encounter, and solution. For the first challenge, which is some ideas were hard to understand. Second, scientific terms were confusing. Last, it was difficult to imagine what happened inside stars. For the solution, first, learn step by step. Second, use simple explanation and video. And third, look at diagram to understand better.
Now let us go through the core concept and the importance of nuclear fusion. Stars are giant nuclear reactors. They don't burn fuel like campfires, but instead they use nuclear fusion. The extreme heat and pressure forces the light atom to smash or collide with each other and fuse into a heavier elements. The physics equation that related to this concept is E equal to mc squared, which introduced by Einstein, whereby E is the energy, m is the mass, and c represents the speed of light. There are three importance in the nuclear fusion of stars. Firstly, we have source of energy for stars. Second, to support life on Earth. And lastly, for formation of element. So next is some facts and example. Firstly, stars are made almost entirely out of hydrogen. Did you know? Sun burns through 600 million tons of hydrogen every single second. Second fact is to make the nuclear fusion happen, you will need a high heat and pressure in order to merge the atoms together. For example, the center of our sun is 15 million degrees Celsius. That heat forces the hydrogen atoms to collide and fuse into a heavier gas called helium. Have you ever wondered how all of this is related to our daily life? Firstly, solar panels uses energy from the sun, which will be converted into electricity. For example, like calculator, street lights, and our homes. Secondly, scientists study how stars produce energy to develop fusion reactors on Earth. Fusion energy may become clean and sustainable energy source in the future. And lastly, for navigation and astronomy. Stars has been used for navigation for 1,000 of years ago. Sailors and travelers use stars to determine the direction.
Next, recent advancements in nuclear reactions in stars include better space telescopes that help scientists observe stars more clearly. Computer simulations also help us understand how nuclear fusion happens inside stars. However, there are still some controversies. Scientists are still not fully sure how some heavy elements are formed in space. Another challenge is that nuclear fusion on Earth is still very difficult to control and sustain for long periods. There are several potential carriers related to nuclear reaction in stars and modern physics. One carrier is an astrophysicist, who studies stars, galaxies, and how the universe works. Another is a nuclear physicist, who focuses on nuclear reactions and energy production. We can also become space scientists, working with space agencies to study planets and stars. Another option is a research scientist, who conducts experiments and develops new scientific knowledge. In addition, some people become university lecturers or physics educators to teach and share knowledge. There are also careers in engineering, especially in nuclear or space technology. Finally, data scientists in space research help analyze large amounts of scientific data. These careers all contribute to improving our understanding of the universe. To work in careers related to modern physics, strong knowledge in physics and mathematics is very important. We also need computer skills, especially programming and data analysis. In addition, critical thinking, problem solving, communication, and teamwork skills are important to succeed in this field.
Next, I will be talking about what it takes to build a career in modern physics, especially if one to focus on things like stars or nuclear energy. First, let's look at why continuous self-development is so important. The truth is, modern physics is always changing. Scientists are constantly discovering new things using big telescopes and new technology. Because of this, our learning cannot just stop once we get our diploma or degree. To actually succeed, we have to keep updating our skills. This could mean learning how to use new computer software, reading up on the latest discoveries, or even studying a bit of engineering later on so we can apply what we know. Basically, the more we keep learning, the better we get at solving real-world problems. Working in modern physics is not easy, and there are a few big challenges. The first challenge is that the math and computer work can be really hard. Trying to study something as huge as a star means dealing with a lot of heavy data, which can feel overwhelming. To overcome this, a good strategy is to learn extra skills early on, like basic coding. Also, working together in study groups helps a lot. We can tackle hard problems when we do it as a team. Another challenge is finding a job. Sometimes there isn't enough funding or open spots if we only want to do pure physics research. The strategy here is to be flexible. If you combine your physics knowledge with other practical fields like engineering, it opens up a lot of more job opportunities in industries like renewable energy or manufacturing. Plus, making connections and looking for internships while we are still studying is a great way to get a head start before we graduate. We can look at how nuclear reactions are basically the engines of every single star in the universe, including our Sun. It is how they produce massive amounts of light and heat, and it is actually how the elements that make up our world were created in the first place. Understanding how stars work isn't just about looking at space. It also helps us figure out how to solve our own problems on Earth. By studying these stellar reactions, scientists are trying to recreate clean, endlessly energy through nuclear fusion right here at home. So, to conclude, studying modern physics and the stars doesn't just teach us about where we came from. It also gives us the key to powering our future. And that's all from us. Thank you.